time cannot remove the only life I know, and only time will prove, yes, only time will prove I have lost my way, 'cause I hear tell about a heavenly mountain where they've gone me. I have lost my way, but I hear about a heavenly mountain where we've got
Hi, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello. Thank you very much for shooting in, joining me here tonight for another New West Reset Live. What is this, episode 7, I think, or something like that? I don't know, I lost track. If you hear some drumming in the background, if I shut up, maybe you'll hear it. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but neighbors having a cookout, having a barbecue, having a good time. And I'm not going to complain. Anyway, welcome. Yeah, episode 7 here, New West Reset. Hope everybody's doing all right. Welcome. Where are we here? It is Friday, right? Yeah, Friday, August 19th, 2022. And as mentioned, my name is Frankie, and I'm here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So thank you very much for taking time to shoot in and join me. Appreciate it. Cameras, I don't know. I try to put different old crap in the background every time I do stream. Some of my old antique camera collection. Got a couple of box cameras here and a couple of those fold out accordion style cameras. They don't work. You pick them up cheap, flea markets, antique shops, take them apart, see how they work or how they worked at one point. Anyway. So, as mentioned, I'm here in Calgary, Alberta, up here in Canada. A fellow's broadcasting right here from Canada, at you there. So, hello, and how's it going, And I've lived in Calgary for 42 years, but I'm 52 years old, a little long in the tooth. And I was actually born in Montreal, Quebec. So, first 10 years of my life there in Montreal. Well, not right in Montreal, in a little town on the south shore of the St. Lawrence. Montreal, of course, is an island in the middle of the St. Lawrence. Then you have, the outskirts. So I lived in one of those little outskirts on the St. Lawrence, maybe 45-minute drive from downtown Montreal. And then spent a lot of time at my grandparents' little farm, which wasn't really a farm anymore. They had, some chickens and geese and goats. It was mostly a huge vegetable garden, and my granddaddy had an orchard, and he was a beekeeper. And he had a small vineyard because he used to make his own homemade wine and apple brandy and plum brandy. Shine. I'm talking moonshine here, people. Anyway, and he made wine too, like legit red wine and white wine. But anyway, spent a lot of time there as a kid. So I'm a mix of a city slicker and a country boy. And here in Calgary, the whole city itself is pretty much a mix of that city and country. It's a big cowboy city, right? We're kind of like Alabama's Texas, and Calgary's like Houston. Oil, cowboys, cattle. At least I have problems with YouTube. I see. Having some technical difficulties with the YouTube. Geez, we haven't even gotten into the good stuff yet. See if we're still. Geez, we haven't. Yeah. Okay, we're still coming in. All right, sorry about that. But yeah, we haven't even gotten into the good stuff yet. But anyway. So yeah, it's kind of that's kind of the whole narrative here for Calgary is that it's cowboys. It's always been cowboys. Before that, it was cowboys and Indians. And before that, it was just Indians, them wild Indians, right? So anyway, but it was completely different to where I was born, the city I was born in, Montreal. The narrative there has always been as it is now. It's one of North America's oldest cities. I think it's the second or third oldest city in North America. But I mean, in that top 5 list, those top 5 are always interchangeable depending on who your reference material is and all that stuff. But anyway. But definitely there's a distinction between the amount of old world buildings in Montreal, especially in what's called the old port or old Montreal. The oldest part of the city from like the 1500s, 1600s. And it's a World Heritage Site and, World UNESCO thing protected and yada, yada, all that stuff, right? And I've been there many times as a kid, and I've been there many times as an adult, going back to visit. Not with the open eyes, unfortunately, that I now have over these past few years. The last time I was back in Montreal visiting was in 2015. So what's that? 7 years. The guy's going to do some quick math. Beep, beep, bap, boop, I'm a computer. Okay, yeah, 7 years. So at that point, I was not where I am now in terms of questioning what's going on and looking at things from a different perspective, from a new perspective. So anyways, I thought it'd be kind of cool for this. I do this sort of a once a month live stream. I gotta pick up the energy level here. I feel like I'm putting you guys to sleep. A fella's just lullabying you here. Hey, Osbeast is here. Good to see you, sir. Welcome. Good day. How you going? He's from down under, you see. So a guy from down under will say, good day, how you going? Whereas up here in Canada, we say, hey, good day, how's it going, eh? So it's so close. Because the narrative, Canada and Australia is we're both filthy colonies that were founded by the British, yada, yada, yada. So we're brothers in arms when it comes to truth. The Aussies and the Canucks. Prickhead Mick Jackson is here. Hello. Good to see you. So yeah, the thing about old Montreal is cobblestone streets, old world buildings, arched windows, domed roofs, copper roofs, all kinds of tech. And even though it's a UNESCO site, World Heritage, yada yada, song and dance, they slowly over the years, when they renovate or do some maintenance work on some of these older buildings, they remove some of the tech or they change a few things, and they're so subtle, or it's done behind scaffolding and tarps and that roped off, taped off areas. Caution, construction zone, that by the time they unveil the newly refurbished building, it's not really the same, but nobody really remembers because these projects take months and months, if not years. It takes a long time to scrub medallions and cartouches on building fronts and remove symbology, iconography, stuff like that there. See, so I'm just perpetuating the stereotype. Sorry about that. He says, we used to say good day, mate, to everyone, to be honest. Nobody talks to each other anymore. Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? A lot of people just put their head down, mind their own beeswax, which sometimes is maybe not a bad strategy. Anyway. So I'm new here into the ether topic as well. A little bit in terms of if you're talking ether and a guy pulling energy perhaps from the ether and collecting it, using some of this what we call antiquitech, right? That nice catch-all phrase to sort of describe all of these weird anomalous antennas and things that are dismissed as, oh, that's a flagpole, dummy, or that's a lightning rod, dummy, when it might be right next to a flagpole. And they're like, okay, well, if that's a flagpole, then what's that? Or places you'd never put a flag, right? Like at the tippy top of a 30-foot high copper dome, and you can't really get up there. So why would you have a flagpole on the center tippy top of that? And there's never any flags on these flagpoles. So if you're talking ether like that, then yeah, a little bit. But basically what I do here on my channel is I basically just do boots on the ground in my immediate area. Not even so much in all of Calgary, because I concentrate on what are, by the narrative, the older parts of the city. So a guy just kind of wanders around my own neighborhood, the downtown area, and some of the older historic parts of Calgary. And I do boots on the ground footage. And but I walk to and from work, and I walk everywhere because I live really close to downtown and close to where I work. So often when I'm just walking to and from work, I'll take different routes, whatever. And I'll stumble across some, odd building that sticks out like a fella's sore thumb. And, I'll just shoot right there with my phone. Boom, kind of as an assorted random, right? So that's mostly what I concentrate on. It's kind of mud flood windows or low windows, below grade windows, bricked in windows, facade brick over old world brick, old world buildings that really shouldn't be here. Because again, by the narrative of Calgary, roughly before 1860s-ish, 1850, there's that number again, 1850, 1851. But really, I would say 1850s, 1860s, the narrative was there was nobody here but cowboys and Indians, a few traders, a few cattle rustlers and whiskey traders, and then they sent out the Northwest Mounted Police out here to build a fort to settle everybody down. Settle down now. Then eventually the Hudson's Bay Company sold the land to the federal government of Canada, and we became a country, right, the Dominion of Canada in 1867. And they started selling some parcels of land further and further west you go from Manitoba, which is sort of the middle, geographically, east to west in Canada here. So the narrative is that it didn't really open up here in Alberta until the 1860s-ish, give or take a decade, right? But there's all these buildings that, by the narrative, they'd say are built in the 1870s, 1880s. They're 3- and 4-story red brick buildings. And there's no red brick factories ever in the history of Calgary. I've looked into it. I've tried to find them online. I've tried to find it at the library. I've tried to find them looking around, boots on the ground, to areas that I know were industrial areas in the early part of the city's growth. Nothing. All I could find is the closest place that had red brick production in Alberta was about 150 kilometers away from here. And this was pre-railroad coming into Calgary. And even when Calgary was joined to the main line of the railroad, the main line didn't go to Medicine Hat, which is where the red brick was coming from, which means it had to come by horse and cart 150 kilometers. Back then, when there weren't really roads, and we're talking Canada here, right? Crazy weather. I mean, what is that? A week? 2 weeks? And even if it's a team of 6 horses, how much brick could a team of 6 horses haul for a week across the rugged prairie? And again, by their narrative, the whole time they're getting slung with bows and arrows by wild Indians trying to scalp them and all that crazy shit too, right? And I don't mean any disrespect here and for our Canadian Indigenous First Nations peoples. I'm just going by the language that they use by their narrative, right? So I just found this hard to believe, right? So I started really looking around with more of a curious, critical eye. And the first channel that it really hit home to me was a channel here on YouTube called Streets of Tartaria. And Caleb there he's in Utah, and he was going to all these crazy little towns in the middle of nowhere in Utah and Wyoming and Nevada, all those neighboring states, but mostly concentrating in Utah. Towns of like 300 people, even today, founded in like the, 1860s or 1870s or 1880s, some little Mormon town in the middle of nowhere, 100 miles from everything. 300 people, maximum population they've ever had, still to this day. And again, they have these huge 2, 3, 4-story old world looking red brick and limestone and sandstone buildings, ornamentation, and they all have a Freemasons lodge. And same here too. These little butt fuck, if you pardon the expression and pardon my language, pardon my French. We'll eventually get into the Montreal thing, but if you pardon my French, the guy's going to swear a little bit here. But, some butt fuck town in the middle of nowhere, Alberta, that has, 500 people in it, some little farming town founded in the 1870s or whatever. Same thing, 100 kilometers from anywhere. It's got a Freemasons lodge. So anyways, I was watching Caleb's videos there on Streets of Tartaria. And I was seeing a lot of buildings that he was showing in these little towns in Utah. And then Utah ain't that far from Alberta, by the way. It'd be a day's drive, day and a half maybe. Well, no, a good long day's drive, 16-hour drive from Calgary to Salt Lake City, for example. But I was seeing stuff that he was filming, and I was recognizing it as almost identical to some of the older stuff that I was seeing in some of the older neighborhoods where I live right here in Calgary. And it's juxtaposed amongst these modern constructions, whether it's 4-story condos built 2 years ago or glass and concrete monstrosities downtown built in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. The other narrative is Calgary's always been a boom town. So a lot of these buildings have been knocked down and are still being knocked down. And so I'm trying to get them while I can. So really that's what I focus on, is the stuff that I can see with my own 2 eyes, grab my phone, take some footage, bring it home here, edit it a little bit. Maybe, often I'll do a little further research. Like if I'm looking at, a large building, like say a main library or a big school, I'll do some research when I get home as well online. I'll dig up a few older pictures. I'll dig up, a bit of the backstory from a couple sources, and I put all the links in the comments or in the description box thingy, right? So that inspired me, right? I was like, well, man, oh man, like I'm seeing the same kind of stuff that he's showing in his channel. And I like the boots on the ground aspect of it. I liked him just walking up and down the streets, going in the alley behind these buildings, and discovering half-buried doors, arched windows, old world construction, stairs built in front of windows, goofy stuff. And I'm finding this stuff here in Calgary, and it doesn't fit the narrative. The narrative is it started off with tents and log cabins and fur traders and cattle farmers, cattle ranchers, and they built sod cabins or sod like huts, I guess you would call them. Like 20 feet by 10 foot, like a log cabin, but built out of sod because it's bald ass prairie here. There's not a lot of trees. So that was the whole narrative. And it went from log cabin to eventually to, wooden frame, 1-story ranch houses or 2-story, quote unquote, Victorian style houses. And eventually, a couple of booms when the railroad comes in and when they discover oil in the 20s and yada, 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 right? Next thing you know, a city of 7 million people in Calgary, a booming metropolis, right? So why are all these buildings here? Why do they appear to show the signs of what we, as a blanket term, refer to as mud flood? It just didn't fit, right? So that's what I focus on around here. Hey, Mysteries, good to see you. Welcome, Mysteries of the Realm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what a narrative, exactly. Oh, well, thanks for shooting in. Thanks a lot. Good to see you. I've seen you in the comments, so thanks for jumping in here tonight. Says I gotta head out, man. So take care. Keep doing what you do, and take care, Ozbeast. How you doing? Oh, yeah, there you go. Mike Lewis is here. I just refer to him as Mike Lewis, like I know him. A set of balls on me over here. A guy's ballsy. Michael Joshua Lewis. Howdy. Welcome. So yeah, that's that's the thing is, as a kid in Montreal, right? You see these big, huge old world buildings. You hear the narrative of, the 15 to 1700s, the super old timey times of one of the oldest cities in North America. I think the second oldest in Canada or third oldest in Canada or something like that. And, as a kid, I see it. As an adult, I saw it. But not with the eyes that I have now. I wouldn't have thought twice with the mud flood windows. I would have just, they punched in some basement windows. Which, why would you do that? I mean, that's one of the big contentions we have in this community, right? Is because that's one of the most obvious. Because we've seen photos where those below grade windows have been dug out, and lo and behold, it's a whole window in there. Sometimes with the glass still in it. Sometimes there's a door down in there too, between a couple of windows. Sometimes the door is still in the door frame. Sometimes there's still a freaking door handle on the door, like a doorknob. Sometimes it's bricked in, sometimes it's blocked in. Sometimes they couldn't even bother. Sometimes it's just from the inside, I guess it's dirt. It's their dirt floor. It's become a crawl space or a sub basement. So, So, yeah, as a kid, and even like I said, as a teenager and a younger fellow than I am now, but I try to go back every few years to visit relatives and so on. And I always make a point of visiting old Montreal because part of my family history takes place at a place called Bon Secours Market in old Montreal, and it's still there to this day, and it still serves as a market to this day. Sort of a farmer's market, arts and crafts, trades market. And every weekend, farmers, ranchers, tradesmen, craftsmen, everything. Women selling flowers and handcrafts, you name it, would all assemble. And there was an indoor and outdoor farmers market and big big thing every weekend, and you could go and buy and sell and trade all kinds of stuff. And my uncle tells stories of my grandfather, when my grandfather was a kid, my great granddaddy taking maple syrup from the maple farm across the St. Lawrence, the frozen St. Lawrence, in the wintertime with horse-drawn sled. Sounds almost too good to be true, right? Canada, horse-drawn sled. Might as well call him Great Granddaddy Santa Claus, for crying out loud. But anyway, and they used to bring their maple syrup to the Bon Secours market for sale. And this wasn't that long ago. This was stories that my uncle heard. This is my oldest uncle, right, who's still alive and is 85 coming up this year. He's my daddy's oldest brother, my uncle. But anyways, this is what, from when he was a kid, he remembers hearing stories being told from his grandfather and his father. So my granddaddy used to help my great granddaddy take maple syrup to Bon Secours market across the frozen St. Lawrence, from the South Shore there into Montreal to the Bon Secours market in the old, what's called the old port, or the old city. So I always thought that was kind of neat. So what I thought I'd do for this stream, and I've get this dang thing going already, guy's been flapping his gums for half an hour already now. It's about time to get the ball rolling here. But anyway, what I thought I'd do is I would share a couple of things about old Montreal. Let's see what the guy's got here. And I know I found this cool website that kind of did some of the work for me, and just assembled a bunch of great photographs of old Montreal from the 1870s through to the 1890s, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe I got me some pictures too. So maybe what we'll do is we'll, as a warmer-upper, yeah, I came prepared. I know, you're flabbergasted. But I got a whole folder of photos that I found over the last while, just of some of the more historically significant, fancy talk, some of the older buildings in Montreal. But I think maybe what I'll do first is we'll look at the this website that I found called Photo Historique, historic photos. And this is a French-Canadian website, so it's in French, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's really the pictures that we're going to be looking at here. Before we get into it, question from Mysteries of the Realm. Did your granddad tell you anything about the old world buildings? Not so much really, because my granddaddy was pretty much always a farmer. He was a farmer from the 20s through to when World War I started, when Canada got involved in World War I, which was earlier on, right, like 39, or basically when Great Britain got involved. Then that's when Canada got involved, and Newfoundland, because Newfoundland wasn't part of Canada then yet, eh? And then he went to work for a brickyard. He worked for Lafarge Brick. I mean, they call it a brickyard, but it was the brick factory in another small city on the South Shore of the St. Lawrence, not right in Montreal, but Lafarge Brickyard is what he called it. And he worked there. He worked basically as a foreman, and he was in charge of making sure that the guys, they were stacking the bricks as they came out of the kiln onto pallets and getting ready to be loaded onto the rail cars. So he was always kind of a country boy, a farmer. And even when he went to work for Lafarge, he still lived on the farm and still kind of had that small farm, because he kind of did both through the war, because times were tough, right? Coming out of the 30s, times were really, really tough. But in the early parts of the war, times were really tough too. It wasn't really until about a year or two after World War II was done that the economy kind of picked up, really. Like by the time it made it down to the average Joe who was a farmer or worked in a brickyard or a factory or whatever he did, school teacher, whatever, right? So not any stories about really any old world buildings. Although my uncle, this oldest uncle of mine, um, he's kind of the family keeper of the sort of the family documents, the stories, the family history, and he's got all the old photos and all that stuff. And he's got a lot of the stories that he remembers hearing my granddad talk about. And I was lucky; I knew my great granddad because he didn't die until 1974. So, and he was born in like 1878 or like 1870, 1880, something like, I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. But he was almost 100. I was lucky I knew him. I knew him until I was 4 years old. So that's pretty good. And I was quite close to my granddad too. So it's a lot of stories, but it's more about country living and stuff like that, and more about railroad too, because they all worked for the railroad at one time or another too. My great granddaddy, my granddaddy, a couple of my great uncles, a couple of my uncles. And I got a cousin that works for the railroad as well. This is all CP Rail, right? So Canadian Pacific Railroad. So yeah, anyway, blah bitty blah. Let's get on with some of this stuff here. What am I gonna share? I'm going to share this here. All right, here we go. Let's do this. And let's do this. So, that working? Can you see that okay? So here's that Bon Secours market, or marché is means march, direct translation, but it's like walk or parade. So it's sort of the parade, and there's a plaza here, and then this is the Bon Secours market here with this beautiful, Washington D.C. Capitol building looking dome with the balustrades and columns and so on, and even just this church down here, right? And this is basically the St. Lawrence, and then there's some docks here, and you can see the railway station here, and then the main road here. So some of these aren't super ancient; they're really interesting. There's typical, right? There's what you want to see for Canadian photos. Snow. Speaking of perpetuating the stereotype, I'm just going to keep clicking back and forth, make sure we're doing all right here. See this okay and everything. I keep going up to like full screen so that we can get a really good shot at some of these. There's a nice shot of a train there. Love that. Oh, there you got to have a ladder there so that you can, I don't know, I guess maybe mess around with whatever this is. I don't know. What the hell do you need a ladder there for? Always got to have that ladder. So this is the French College. It used to be a synagogue. I was like watching some of these, or looking at some of these older, these sort of, it's a posed photo, but still to kind of see like how they dressed. They always dressed really sharp. See, look how sharp this guy's. This, I don't know what this clown's doing. Tramway, 1920, Montreal. Now we're talking. Oh, more horses and snow. Yeah, that's what you want to see. That's what a guy wants to see, right? Horses. Horses and snow. Yeah. Yeah. No. Probably not. Look at that. That's that church that's by Bon Secours. That's the Notre Dame Church, but it's not the Notre Dame Church because there's two the Notre Dames. There's one in Paris, and then there's one in Montreal. But this is the Notre Dame of Bon Secours. It's a library. Pretty fancy for a library. Definitely have something funny going on here. I love this shot too. All these tall ships in the harbor and in the docks. There's Bon Secours back there. There's some filthy French beatniks, some official looking guys. That steamship, nice. Trois Rivières, the Three Rivers. Look at this. Post office. Sure, you want to get a stamp and mail a letter to your Aunt Gertrude? Yeah, we'll just make this, very functional, nondescript, basic building, so you can lick a stamp or two and mail a letter. Maybe get something from the Sears catalog. It's the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This supposedly is built in 1878, by the way. Now, Montreal is already a couple of years, 100 years old at this point, but still. Awfully fancy for letters, ain't it? 1900, they call it Hippomobile. It's basically a water tank for the fire department pulled by horse. It's a cool photo. So yeah, again, I like these pictures. Again, it's obviously staged or they're posing. So get back to work. Let's Dominion Rubber Company. What is this kid doing working there? Oh, it's only 1912. All right, get back to work, kid. Church in Sherbrooke. Nice. It looks like it's missing something, though, doesn't it? Yeah. Went through a restoration process, and so they put up a bunch of scaffolding, and then when they took all the scaffolding down, lo and behold, didn't there used to be a spire on that church? I don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. Oh, trains. Look out. Look out. This is my thing. This is a guy's thing. Old locomotives, old steam locomotives. I don't know why they got tanks there. I guess it's to show our industriousness up here in Canada, eh? Then now you've got some oxen pulling something in the winter. Okay. Look at this. St. James Street, Montreal, 1909. That's the Bank of Montreal building. Because when you're scratching out a living in the early 1900s, what you want is a big fancy building like that to put the money you don't have into. Sun Life building. Well, we actually have what they're saying is a construction photo. 1914 of the Sun Life building. This I can believe, though, because then they're saying there, okay, now it's done. It's the end of construction there, 1926. So it took them 12 years to build it. Okay, that I can deal with. That's not too tough a pill to swallow. This is a wood and coal company. Wow, really? 1903. Not exactly a thriving business. Come on, really? That's a wood and coal company? Another library. Got some pretty low-looking windows here underneath this Victorian tarred-up facade. And then you gotta go up a bunch of steps to get it. By the way, I love how slopey this is. The St. James Club, 1884. Again, you gotta go up. Nice arched windows, though. Pretty fancy. And there. McGill University, formerly McGill College, 1859. Canada didn't become a country until 1867. I know that's kind of late in the game comparatively, but they're replacing, in other words, tearing up the tram rail tracks on St. Catherine Street, 1933. Yeah, because after that they got buses, diesel buses. Bastards. How we doing here, by the way? The Big Kush. Cheers, he says. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. They always label them as construction photos. But who says they're not rediscovery photos or demolition photos? They don't just use cranes to build 3, 4, or 5-story structures and higher. They oftentimes will use cranes to dismantle, right? Let's get back to it here. Whoops, done made a mistake. Done made me a mistake. There we go. All right, let's see here. Oh yeah, this place here. I see a lot of these old buildings and these streets. I've been down these streets before. I've seen McGill University. I didn't go there, but I done seen it. I've seen this place. You know, I've seen a lot of these buildings for sure, because a lot of them are all either right downtown or they're in the old, what they call the old port. But this I ain't never heard of. The ancient Fort of the Mountain, Grand Seminaire de Montreal. Grand Seminaire is a seminary. So it's the Tour de l'Enfant de la Montagne. That's the tower of the ancient Fort of the Mountain, Grand Seminaire de Montreal. It's Grand Seminary of Montreal. I'd never heard of this place. I had never seen this until I saw this website, which again is Photo Historique, which I'll leave the link in the description. What else we got here? Another building for the Olympics, 76 Olympics. Belmont Park, I went there as a kid. This is the original main entrance. It's an amusement park. The main entrance gate. This is from the 30s. It hadn't changed much even when I was a kid going there in the 70s. Had the old wooden roller coaster and all that stuff. It was fantastic. Well, this is an ambulance. 1896. It's pretty cool. There you go. Oh, there's your typical photo of Canada, eh? This is Notre Dame Street, 1887. Blizzard. Déneigement means basically heavy snowfall or a blizzard. Snow in. Elephants. What's going on here? Well, the Barnum Circus. Yeah, that's right. There you go. P.T. Barnum knew how to put on a show. This guy showed some coal into something here. Prison. 1924. Prison furnace at Charbon Prison. All right. Dominion Park. Never even heard of this place either. Somewhere in Montreal, apparently. Yorkville, Montreal, 1900. Fire department. Beautiful. Arch windows, portals, all kinds of tech. Somebody raised an interesting point on a stream. Was it? I think it was Stuffed Beagle's stream with Biggs, and I think Caleb from Streets brought up a good point. Supposedly, by the narrative, we built these big, beautiful, highly detailed architectural wonders with the unnecessarily large windows, doors, arches, fancy schmancy, all up and down in your face, right? But you can't put up a power pole or a telephone pole straight. Some crooked ass poles. Oh, there's where Robert Kennedy came to Montreal for the Olympics. Where are we here? Page 3? I think so. Losing track. How's everybody doing? Hanging in there? Doing all right? Guys got to pop in and kind of check on the old chat once in a while here, you know. But the full screen's better because, you know, you can... Well, I'm sure you don't want to see full screen in all its glory of snow. And I'm tired of being a Canadian and showing you snow. But there it is. That's the ambulance. You know, it's the sort of like the, they call it a Hotel Dieu. It's God Hotel. It's basically University of Montreal's Catholic Church funded hospital. So that was their ambulance, basically. What else we got here? That's Windsor Station. It's the old. It's this beautiful, massive, which takes up an entire city block. This frontage does not do justice to the size and majesty of this gorgeous building. Is no longer standing. That's the old CP Rail Windsor Station. There it is on the inside. Trains coming in and out of the station. This thing was a sight to behold. But seems awfully majestic, right? Kind of looks like we might have some low stuff going on down here. But yeah, lots of arches. Every window here is arched. Look at this thing. Oh yeah, let's build some old, see, it's got your old world structure, and then we're going to build an old world structure out of ice. And they say we can't build today like we did back then. Look at these kids. Good for you, kid. 1887, eh? There's a beauty there. Some more snow, some more sleigh rides, horse-drawn sleigh rides. Now we're getting to Bon Secours Market. Marché Bon Secours. What's this? Ice cream vendor, Victoria Square, 1869. Look at that. Eh? This guy's got himself a prime spot. $1838 barbershop, right? Oh, I love these. 1860. Officier commandant les volontaires montréalais. So, Montreal volunteer law enforcement officers. Really? Wow. Okay. Pretty fancy. And not much consistency amongst the uniforms. Like, these guys are kind of the same, but then their goofy hats are different. I say, my hat is much goofier than your hat. Yes, but my hair is très goofy, no? These guys' uniform match, but again, their hats are goofy. See, like this guy's hat matches this guy's hat. This guy's got one of these fancy feathers. This guy's hat kind of looks like his, the funny little whoop whoop on top. The uniforms are different. This guy's the oddball out. He doesn't match anybody. He doesn't have a twin. These guys, they match with their circus lion tamer uniforms, and this guy with his I want to be a pirate. This guy's, you think you got a feathery chapeau, monsieur? Look at mine, eh? All got swords, because when you're going to enforce the law, you're just going to have a duel, I guess. I don't know. Crazy. $1903. Photographer's home. It's not exactly a good paying gig, I guess, eh? The Star newspaper. 1897, eh? That's why you're seeing Union Jacks, by the way. Canada didn't really get its own flag until what was it, the 1900s. And then we didn't get the one that you're familiar with now until 1967, I think, on our centennial. The glorious maple leaf, eh? So yeah, we just have the old Union Jack everywhere. So this is Place des Armes, or it's like the War Memorial. Fancy, fancy. We got here building the Jacques Cartier Bridge, 1927. Sure, I'll buy that. You know, get this kind of iron girder construction at that point. Sure. So what do we have here? A kiosk of his company of Alfred Furland and Sons. Doesn't say what his business is, though. Looks like beer, wine, spirits, some sort. I see syrup here, so maybe it's syrup. But 1896. Nice. Oh, it's liquor. There you go. Alfred Furland liquor. Mineral water, eh? Ooh. So we have a bottling company or a distilling company. Ooh, fascinating. St. James Street, 1897. Victoria's Jubilee. Queen Victoria, yippee. It's a bunch of official looking buggers. How tall is this dude? Gotta figure, okay, these guys are about average. You got your big shot here with his taller hat. This guy, who's he supposed to be? Probably the mayor or something. Lord Bassborough. Bestborough. Okay, whatever. Another stovepipe hat here. This dude looks huge compared to these guys. Anyway. See, old Montreal with the cobblestone streets everywhere, the electric rail systems everywhere. This is 1905. This is the funicular or funiculaire that goes up to Mount Royal in 1900. I think this was functioning up until for quite a while, actually, till the 60s or 70s, maybe even later. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. It's very interesting because I know there's very few of these left. What's with the chop suey? That's another thing that somebody was talking about. You know, whenever you see old photographs of Chinatown, doesn't matter what city it is, whether it's New York or San Francisco, St. Louis, Toronto, Montreal, Chinatown has always got a place that's got chop suey. St. Joseph's Oratory here in Montreal. So got your wooden sidewalk here. That's nice. Then crazy. I mean, this is built on a stone. I mean, I think there'll be more of these photos coming up of this, but this is highly, highly suspect. McGill University again, inside Notre Dame Cathedral, the big one, the main one. Mrs. Hodgson and her maids of honor, Montreal, 1898. Okay. A lot of flowers. Wow, very poofy chapeaus there, ladies. What is this idiot doing besides trying to break his hip? Get down from there, Jacques. So this is what is this? A brewery, I think, is what it is. Oh no, it's something to do with an aqueduct. Oh, okay. Huh. Look at this bad boy. Windsor Hotel, 1906. Look at the size of this thing. With all kinds of amazing. Amazing. Why so massive? I mean, I know it's a hotel, but really, were they ever at full capacity? Highly, highly doubt it. St. Catherine Street. Is it those etchings? You know, I don't even know what page we're on. I think we got to jump to page 4. How we doing? Should I pick up the pace? We doing all right here? I'm going to assume that everybody's doing all right there. I ain't hearing otherwise. Thank you very much once again for shooting in, joining a fella here. My name's Frankie, by the way, New West Reset. This is New West Reset live. I do these about once a month, mid-month, usually. And as we speak, it's where we at here. Friday, August the 19th. 10 p.m. Local time, Calgary time here in Calgary, Alberta. But right now we're looking at some of the glorious old world, fascinating photos here from the city that I was born in, Montreal. This is old Montreal specifically. Got the old port, it's some old railroad. I mean, they're taking it right off the train and right into the boat. There you go. Here's some grain for you. 1920. It's loaded on this feller's cart, and a guy just walks right across the gangplank, boop, right into the boat. Permission to come aboard, sir. Permission granted. Boom. In they go. Bank of Montreal. Put all your silver dollars in this beautifully majestic building. I mean, it's beautiful, but why? Why? It's got to be so fancy. I like how they have to put a description here. A car upside down in South Montreal, 1935. Really? It's a car upside down, you say? 1886, the Port of Montreal. Windmill Point. I don't see any windmill. I don't know what's in her tea or coffee. That's whatever she's had, she's very happy about. It's a hair salon, 1941. I don't know what you're getting all gussied up for, ladies. All the fellers are off in the trenches. Looking at the hockey scores in the newspaper, 1901. What's this guy doing? 1938. Cocktail transport coined. He's on the corner of Laurier and Ontario Street. Cocktail transport. It's just some guy. They just, hey, I need to move my stuff. Oui, monsieur. The Bank of Montreal and post office. It's the same bank, I guess. Just an etching. Victoria Bridge etching. Expo 67 stuff. Kind of neat. Got to push the narrative that, Canada's the wild frontier. Bunch of official jackasses glad handing and patting each other on the ass. All right, let's get back to the good stuff here. A couple of apartment buildings in Rosemont. Okay. Maternity Hospital. There's some more horse-drawn carriages. That's ironic. In front of a garage where they do general auto repair, and you've got horse and cart. This is a handsome woman. Yeesh. 1860, Saint Urbain Street. This is on the South Montreal. So it says right here, Chemin de Terre, which is a dirt road, bordé de paupiers lombards, so wooden sidewalks. Des toitiers de bois, wooden stairs, residences, a couple of businesses. And there's the Notre Dame Basilica, or the Notre Dame there in the background. So yeah, 1860. Nice. (1948) cargo coming into the Lachine Canal. Lachine is French for China, the China, actually. The China. I'm not sure why that portion, which is southwest of Montreal, as the St. Lawrence flows towards the Great Lakes. Not sure why that portion is called China or Lachine. But anyway, a couple of chicks in bathing suits there waving at the cargo ship. That's nice. That's why Montreal became Canada's largest port city. That became legislation. You had to have at least 2 girls in bathing suits, apparently, to wave at the merchant vessels as they came in. I love these buildings that have a door on the corner like that. It's cool, but it's hanky because then you can have 2 addresses, and that's always very, very weird. 1919, University of Montreal. That does not look original. Call me crazy. It looks like this beautiful edifice puked out this disgusting, putrid monstrosity. Like, why would you build like that? Like, go to the builder and just say, all right, foreman, I want you to build this beautifully ornate and completely symmetrical building with lovely detail and arches all over it, with a grand main entrance. And then when you're done that, I want you to build this toilet looking thing right here. Ridiculous. Some apartment buildings in the red light district in Montreal. Oh, okay. Well, that's highly unnecessary to show, but okay. I guess. Is there ladies of the evening waving? No. Oh, there's one. Okay. That's more inappropriate than the women in bathing suits at the port. 1900, French theater in Montreal. Probably an ice storm where there was a fire and the fire department put out the fire. 1903, Port of Montreal. Patinoire, I'm not sure what that means. Noir is French for black. Patinoire, I'm not sure. But that's in the old port, 1870. Look at that. Nice. Dominion Park. Also never heard of this place until I first saw this website. 1910, entrance to Dominion Park. That's right, the Dominion of Canada. Union Jack on the coffin at the St. Jack's Church on St. Denis Street. A funeral of a member of the Royal Canadian Armed Forces in 1942. What's going on here? Fried potatoes and hot dogs. That's way before Bill 101, where they outlawed English signs. And now you have to have only French signs in Quebec. What is this? L'avion La Montrealis. Okay. The Flying Montrealers. 1910. Why did somebody go through and outline all of this? I mean, it makes it look doctored, which it is now doctored, of course, but it looks like a legit photo. And then somebody just came along with ink and pen, sort of traced in a bunch of this stuff. I'm going to help you see it better. Well, no, you made it worse. Knucklehead. It's just, your basic fire station. Nothing to see here. Just your basic fire station, fire hall. That's where your firemen live. Don't believe me? Photographie de la caserne de pompier. Pompier is fireman in French. West Laurier Street, on the corner of Saint Laurent Boulevard. And in behind it is the St. Louis City Hotel, built in 1905. Okay, so this hotel was built in 1905. That's good. It's great. When was this built, though? Doesn't say. But this is your just your run-of-the-mill fire hall there, people. Don't worry about it. A guy, if he's a humble firefighter, and chances are at this point in time, if this is, around between, most of these photos are between 1870s and 1910-ish, with a few exceptions. So even if we just say, okay, this is 1905, also, like this hotel was supposedly built. But the firemen are volunteer firemen, aren't they? I mean, look at this thing. It's a firefighter castle. Some low windows here too. And of course you have these huge doors. And of course you say, well, that's for the horse-drawn fire, carriages, right? And sure, okay. And you get this funny stumpy door. That just baffles my mind That's a fire hall or fire station. Oh, look, more snow. That's what you want to see. You're looking at pictures of Canada. That's 1870. How are they going to get rid of all that snow? Well, they don't. You just get a bunch of people with shovels that just pile it here, and every few feet you put a walkway through, and there you go. You're going to have to suck it up. Not until we invent the steam shovel. So that's the Drummond House on Sherbrooke Street in Sherbrooke, Montreal, Quebec. George Drummond. That's pretty fancy. It's just his house. Just a guy's house. Because a guy just needs just a very humble abode, 4 walls and a roof. For his 3 hots and a cot. Maybe a radio. Stove, a toilet. That's all a guy needs. Really low windows with this facade fake stonework here. And then the stairs now going up. There's the Bon Secours Market. Oh, look, snow. It's the, what is this here? Oh, the Montreal Port, the west end. Post office again, and there's the Bank of Montreal again. Some of these are repeats. Sorry about that. Right here, 1938 firefighters. That's cool. 1941. That's cool. 1870 St. Catherine Street. This is like a major street, then and now. So I guess if you huck it out of the way enough, you can get your horse-drawn sleigh, like great granddaddy used to use. This is another place I never heard of, Somer Park. No idea. Don't know what it is. Don't know what it was. I don't know if it's an amusement park, some kind of electric park. I don't know. $18.99. Henri Bourassa. The car that he built himself. Where's the engine? $18.99. Henri Émile Bourassa. So Henry Emile Bourassa. Avec un. It's a typo there. Should be un. Voiture. Voiture means car. Qu'il a construit. He built in Montreal. Yeah. It's obviously an electric car. Probably the batteries under the seat. Because there's nowhere for an engine to go. That's pretty cool. Oh, Steinberg's, eh? I used to go grocery shopping at good old Steinberg's. It's 1945, buddy. What are you doing with a horse? 1888. Inventor of the microphone, Emil Berliner. Made the first gramophone. This new technology quickly supplanted the phonograph. It was more popular. Yada yada. Moved to the United States, and Emile something in Montreal, 1908. Oh, he opened the business in Montreal in 1908 in the Saint Henri Quarter. Oh, okay. So there you go. Employees at RCA Victor making shellac platters for your RCA Victor gramophone. It's just your basic hospital with all kinds of crazy mud flood levels. Nothing to see here. Move on. Hey, look, a horse. But yeah, this is the Saint Jean de Dieu, the Lord Saint John Hospital, 1920. This is an electric car or it's like a mini train, an electric mini train that went up and down the main corridors inside the hospital. A Corona Hotel. It's just a sketch, but beautiful, fancy. Look, see, I told you it was a flagpole, dummy. Oh, really? Then what are all these little bits all along here then? Yeah, that's what I thought. The Jacques Cartier Bridge being built again. I think we saw some of these already. 1929. Yeah, okay, I can buy that. Sure. I don't really see any dudes working on it, but nope, don't see much there. Nice brick building though. But there's a Molson Brewery, 1936. Of course. Gotta have a brewery, and Molson, the most famous brewery, right in Montreal. See, there it is again. It made this building look like it was leaning forward, but it's a trick of the eye, or as we'd say in French, un trompe l'oeil, a trick of the eye, because this thing is so freaking crooked that it's making the building look crooked. That's pretty fancy for, your brewery. And of course, it's on a slant, and you got some really low windows here, mud flood windows, nice arches here. And it's full glory as it is basically today. But yeah, look at this. You need all this, do you, to make some beer? All right, you say so. The flood of 1886. This is Bonaventure Avenue or Street right here. Yeah, does not look good. Does not look good. Oh, look, snow and a horse. You guys aren't looking too grateful for your soup, your 1930s soup. All right, moving on. Page 6. We're almost done with this one. How we doing, by the way? Checking the chat here. How's everybody doing? Hey, Maggot's here. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you, Maggot. Shellac. Beatles wings. Yeah, see a lot of those, right? A lot of those buildings look like they're already 100 years old, and the photo is, 150 years old or more, right? All right, let's see what we have. I don't really like these sketches, colored sketches. They bug me. Oh, look, a dirigible. They even call it dirigible, R100 over Mount Royal. No year. Come on now. Give us a year. Can I hook up to this thing, maybe? (1879) Promenade à raquette à la file d'Indien sur le Mont Royal. Okay, so they're Mount Royal, and they're doing a winter snowshoe on an old Indian trail. Okay. Kind of looks fun, but also kind of looks cold because look, snow. St. Catherine Street. Some of these, sorry, they don't have dates. Some of them, I don't know why. Again, these just bug me because they just look like out of a cheap coloring book that you get at the 5 and dime. Oh, Miss Universe, eh? Oh, hello. What are you selling there? What is that? Lincoln, eh? Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Belmont Park. Hey, let's see. I wonder if I'm in here. No, it's 1923. I'm not in here. Maybe my granddaddy's in here. So no, yeah, granddaddy would be in there. Ice Palace, Montreal Carnival, 1909. Hey, look, ice and snow. Oh, what's going on here? I think I remember this picture. Yeah. This is 1932. They are building the tunnel that's supposed to go underneath. Supposed to go under Notre Dame Street, I think. So the story on this is that they're building a tunnel for this street to go underneath another street. And they've got their steam shovel here, 1932. It's probably a diesel shovel by then. Diesel earth moving equipment, dump trucks. Okay, all right, sure. But why is this still like on a huge mud flood slope? Like if you're building a tunnel, okay, that means that the ground level is higher here than it is down here. And rather than having a steep sloped street with a busy intersection, you're going to just tunnel underneath so that traffic can flow more freely. Sure, okay, I understand that too. But why are these sloped and why are these buildings up here? And then this one here looks like it's freaking buried under all this crap. And then you got a bit of something here, and then this other building down here. And same with this. You got something funny going on here. And then this one is kind of comes down a little bit, but it's higher than this one, which comes down a little more, and so on down to this street level. So it's not so much, are they really tunneling or not? Sure, I could buy that, but it's like, well, why are they tunneling? Because this road's on a hill. Well, why is it on a hill, and why do all these buildings built at different levels, they look like there was like a big mud flood that flowed right down through here? Because what the heck are these two clowns working on right here? I don't know if you could see that, my cursor, I hope so. But what is this that's supposedly underneath? And we're going to put up some 2x4s to hold all this land back while we do our tunneling. This does not instill a lot of confidence. This getting better, but it's still not looking great. At least here they got some stone put up and shit. But here, we're going to put a few 2x4s. Don't worry, fellas, you'll be fine. Perfectly safe, perfectly safe. But what is this down here? It looks like a stone, I don't know, part of an edifice, part of a, like a column. Is it a stone footing? I don't know what that is. But it looks all dirty and muddy and looks like it's been submerged. And as they were digging away here to clear for their tunnel, it looks like it's something that was unburied or uncovered, as opposed to they tore this away and then built this. Because why build it if you're not going to use it? It doesn't look like it's being used for anything. See what I'm saying? It's weird, right? Or is it me? It seems weird. I wonder if this one here, if I can just go down to this screen here, because we got a lot of, this works all right. It's a fancy house there. What is it? Presbytère de la Côte de Neige. Oh, it's a Presbyterian. It's not a church. It doesn't say church. All right. Here's some kind of crazy daredevil. Light it on fire and watch me go, boys. All right. Another one of them looking. It's got some mud flood windows here and then stairs going up, but again, it's one of those cheap coloring book looking things. La Jeunesse Barbecue. Nice. Where are we at here? Let's see. Last page. What's going on in old Montreal? These are a little bit more modern pictures. Expo 67. There's Bon Secours. So there's the market. You can see all the vendors line up here. Farmers and so on and so forth. But again, it's these crappy coloring book. Well, Dominion Park had a water shoot thing, eh? Water park shoot thing. Huh. Had no idea. Those crazy Victorians. Chinatown, 1940. This is St. Joseph Street in Lachine. By the way, Chinatown is not in Lachine. Chinatown in Montreal is not in Lachine, even though Lachine means China in French. So there you go. Cheap Coke. Oh my! It's different kind of Coke. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, no wonder you get these tired-looking buggers chasing around behind you. Montreal Light, Heat, and Power Company. Huh. 1920. That's a hell of a wheelbase on that thing, isn't it? McGill University. Nice. Okay, so this is Ravenscraig House. Now, we get a load of this. The Military, the 1,000 gold carat. Was it situated dans le 1000 carrés dorés? Situated in the 1,000 golden carats. I guess it's a district or an area. Never heard of that. The Ravenscraig House was owned by Hugh Allen. Golden Square Mile. There we go. A Golden Square Mile. Grand Canadian bourgeoisie. It was sort of like the basically the example of Canadian bourgeoisie. University of Sherbrooke professor Harold Berube said that the atmosphere in this quarter is luxury, and it's situated at the south of Mount Royal. It's 20 acres, 70% of the richest Canadians are concentrated in this Golden Square Mile district. Families of financiers, industrialists, Anglo-Protestants, families like the Molsons, the Redpaths, built chateaus. Their houses were had grand gardens. Since the 50s, it's been in an area of decline. Oh, really? A lot of the grand mansions have disappeared. Of course. Oh, of course. As a lot of the industrialists and so forth migrated with their wealth to Toronto or Westmount, which is another area of Montreal. 1960, did a lot of construction and demolition and some renovations in the Golden Square Mile. And promoters have give tours of the area now. It's north of Sherbrooke, McGill University. So yeah, okay, there you go. Look at this fancy. Look at this. This is some dude's house, man. This is just a dude's house slash castle. That chateau is French for castle, so you know. And then he's got this giant greenhouse with this dome on the greenhouse. I mean, come on, man. And like, if that doesn't spell out something that kind of sort of pretty much identically resembles a mud flood, with a bunch of mud flood windows, then I don't know what does. But you got big columns and pillars, and I mean, look at this guy. Take it easy, buddy. Probably had a menagerie or his own zoo or aviary in there or something. This guy's amazing, amazing. Nina Valentine, hello, hello. Laura Lee, just a thought of this. Was it called the Victorian era because they were the victors? Well, it could be. You know, it's double speak, right? It means because the era of Queen Victoria, but also, yeah, the victors. Victoria, victorious, right? The old court building, the old federal court building, 1890. Why there's a boat there? Oh, I guess that might be right along the St. Lawrence, I guess, because there's a couple of boats. We'll say why there's just a couple of boats piled up there. I'll never know. But I mean, the river could be right there. What is this beast? The Montreal Warehousing Company on the Lachine Canal, 1875. 1875. Again, I will remind you, Canada didn't become a country officially until 1867. So this is what's that? Fellas are going to do some math. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. 8 years. 8 years. Look at this thing. Huge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Call it 12 floors. Crazy. Crazy. Big, massive door. I mean, I guess if it's a warehousing company, I guess you need big, massive doors. But I'm not sure why you need a bunch of mud flood windows down here, though. It's probably, it's a pain in the ass, not very accessible. It looks like they did some farting around with this photo here, too. There's something blurred out under here. See that? But regardless, I mean, it's cool. It's right on the Lachine Canal, right, which is part of the St. Lawrence Seaway. So, I mean, your boats can pull right up. And again, like we saw in one of the earlier photos, you could just unload, like the guys were unloading straight from the train, straight onto the boat. Same thing, straight from the boat onto the dock, boom, right into the warehouse. But I just love the vagueness of the name of the country or company, the Montreal Warehousing Company. Yeah, no shit, it's a warehouse, or at least that's what you're trying to tell us. But what have you got in there that it has to be so huge? Back in 1875. Wow. And again, these kinds of clowns with these kinds of stuff, horses and whatnot, that's how they built this. Because, there's no cranes. There's no cranes anywhere in here. Like, they just used hoists and pulleys and ropes and stuff, sure, but maybe they used those Roman like hamster wheel cranes, the human hamster wheel things. Maybe, I don't know, because I've never seen a picture of this being built, so I don't know what the hell. All I know is it's freaking huge. Taxi service. There you go. It's just a general store in Cartierville, Montreal. Oh, there you go. It's got brooms for sale because it's cobblestone here, it looks like, but then it also looks like dirt. I don't know. Again, it might be kind of fudged. It looks a little fudged down here. But yeah, there you go. A little bit of photo historique, historic photos, old Montreal. Oh, there he is. Good to see you, Streets. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's Laura Leah got to say here? Funny how the buildings were so ornate, yet they couldn't get a decent sign made for them. Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like I was talking about earlier, beautiful, massive brick, stone, and limestone, sandstone, granite, marble buildings, beautifully, perfectly symmetrical. I think these that are leaning, these wooden like telephone poles and power poles that are as crooked as a dog's hind leg, just leaning. It's like, really, you could build these massive buildings in the what they tell us are the 1860s and 1870s, perfectly straight, perfectly symmetrical. But you can't put up a wooden telephone pole or a wooden power pole or a wooden what do they call it? Telegraph cable pole. Ridiculous, right? Absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, once again, welcome. My name is Frankie. This is New West Reset, and this is New West Reset Live, number 7. Do these about once a month, usually about mid-month, and I kind of pick a different topic every time. My channel, I'd say 80 to 85% of my channel content is boots on the ground, me running around to old neighborhoods here in the city I live in, Calgary, Alberta, and checking out stuff that doesn't fit the narrative of, where we've only been here for, since 1905 as a province. And, Calgary was only just founded in and around like 1870s and, all that stuff. And so I've been looking around and shooting footage of buildings that just don't fit that goofy narrative, right? That it's just nothing but cowboys and Indians up here. Every once in a while, I like to do one of these live streams, and this is because it's the month of August. This was the month that, as a kid, my family moved from Montreal, Quebec, to here in Calgary, Alberta, 42 years ago. So I thought for this one, with it being August, and August was the month that we arrived here in Calgary, I would focus on my home city where I was born, old Montreal. So we just looked at a really great website. There was about 7 pages there of photographs ranging from the 1860s to, some of them were a lot more modern, from the 1950s and so on, but great photos of old Montreal for the most part. We saw the beautiful domes and the old tech, cobblestone streets. Up the wazoo. We found some photos. See, YouTube's not enjoying it. They're not liking it. Something's going on with the YouTubes here. They're goofing around. Getting some herky jerkiness. Sorry about that. But anyways, I found some photos of my own self of some of these amazing, architecturally beautiful buildings that, even by the standards of the age of what they tell us Montreal is, 1600s, 1700s, well, even earlier than that, really, in some cases, right? The late 1500s. Some of these buildings just look so ancient. They look so old world. And you have these windy cobblestone streets that are narrow like they are in, European cities. And really, Montreal is, for all intents and purposes, a European city, an old world city. And the proof's in the pudding with what we just saw from that website. And again, I'll link that beep, boop, bop, down in the old description box underneath this here video after, when this thing YouTube gets its act together and I can get it all uploaded and whatnot. But yeah, so I've got these other. What are we looking at here? We'll go just over an hour and a half. Yeah, we got a little time. Got a little time? What do you figure? Got some time? Ah, sure. Yeah, a feller's got time. A guy's got lots of time here on a Friday night to mess around with this here stuff with you good people. What's Maggot saying here? When my parents migrated from Europe and I was little, we were only allowed to go to Canada or Australia. Really? Huh. Where'd you migrate from, if you don't mind me asking? In Europe. That's funny, eh? You're like, okay, we got to get out of here. And they're like, okay, you can go if you want, but you can only go over here or over there. That's it. Like, really? Who are you to tell me, buddy? Nope, we only got 2 boats, and one goes here and one goes there, and that's it. That's all you got. Only got 2 boats. Okay. One's going to Canada and one's going to Australia. That's it. Really? It's strange, right? Not even New Zealand. They're not even gonna include New Zealand in that, eh? Huh. Anyways, I got some cool pictures here that I found on the old interwebs. Let's do this. Well, that doesn't even make any difference. All right. I can at least blow these ones up a little bit. So this is Bon Secours Market's right here. This is that church next to Bon Secours Market. There's the CP rail train. So basically you have the church, like the buildings here, a road, which looks like it's being supported by something because there's something underneath, because this is on a slant. You have the road. This is another road going up to join the main road. Then you have the railroad track, the dock, and the St. Lawrence River, St. Lawrence Seaway. So you can see how close Bon Secours Market and pretty much all of these businesses were right off. Basically, the St. Lawrence comes out of the Atlantic Ocean and runs towards the Great Lakes, right? There's another shot. So there's Bon Secours. This is further down. There's Bon Secours there. And you can see a little bit of that church sticking up behind it. So you see buildings, the street. There's a walkway here, and it's elevated and suspended because you got horse and buggies coming up and down here, I guess. Why this is raised up so high compared to this, I don't know. Like if this was dug away, would these buildings go down further? Maybe some of them. I don't see why not. I mean, why does the ground go down further here? But you can see then the rail cars come in here and they offload the ships. Boom, bada boom. But that's a great shot. I like that shot. It's loading them onto horse and buggy or onto the steam trains. It's pretty cool. Another sort of similar. I don't know if there's a photo or if it's an etching, because it looks, unless these people are picnicking here, watching maybe. I try to weed out what I think are not photographs. I try to pretty much just show photographs if I can. Love seeing these old clipper ships and some of the steam ships. There's Bon Secours there again. We saw this on their website. Yeah, the Bon Secours. Beautiful. Yeah, those are those towers up on Mount Royal of some chateau. And well, you can see that this looks like mud flood here to me. This here too, see how it slopes down? So if you were to dig away these mounds or hills or whatever, do these go down further? I reckon they might, because they're calling them towers. They're not really towers. It's two stories, 2 levels. It's not what I would call a tower, but that's what they're officially called. And what is that in the background? I mean, these are supposed to be on the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. What is this? These huge columns, glistening white in the background. I have no idea. So this is Windsor Station. Unfortunately, we saw this, I think, in that website too. Huge, huge. But now we can, whoa, hey, now we can zoom in. Get a better idea of just how massive this thing is. Again, it took up a whole city block, right? So a street runs here, and then the street runs behind it. And there's another street over here that runs down this side of it. Massive, massive train station. So trains are coming in at ground level, but they're also coming in underground through tunnels from all different directions. And also you could catch the trams, the electric trams or trolleys from Windsor Station. And you could also catch these taxis at Windsor Station too. And eventually when buses came in and they phased out the trams or trolleys, then you would catch buses at Windsor Station too. But unfortunately, that beautiful, beautiful thing is no longer here. But inside Windsor Station, there's your typical fantastic steam locomotive. I reckon that's a CP rail. Let's say, but I'm pretty sure it's CP. So this is Griffintown. That's right, Griffintown. Interesting name, isn't it? And what I found odd about Griffintown is, well, first of all, this beautiful structure here looks to me like it's probably a church, although I'm not sure. The street almost looks like it's a circular street. This road is straight, but it almost looks like a circular road that goes around here. I wish there was an aerial or bird's eye view. But I just thought the name of Griffintown was very interesting. What we got in here? Brick structures here. That might be the Molson Brewery, maybe. We've seen these already. So this Lord Strathcona house in Montreal, supposedly built in 1907. So just a guy's house, you know. Don't really need anything fancy at all for a fella. You know, don't need to have any mud flood windows and then funny staircase going up to the main entrance. But at least we'll put shutters on our mud flood windows. That's the fanciest shit I've ever seen for mud flood windows. I've seen some fancy stuff for mud flood windows, but I ain't never seen shutters on mud flood windows in my life. Look at that. This guy was a jackass. Didn't even try to hide him. Yeah, I ain't even gonna hide him. In fact, I'm gonna accentuate him with these here shutters. Or sorry, he's probably got a French accent. I'm not going to hide this window down here. I'm just going to put shutter on it and it'll act like a frame. So you can see really good the low window there that is shooting right down in the ground. But it's a lovely place. Lovely place. Gabriel's saying it's tacky. Well, you know, each to his own, right? We all have our preferences. I think it's lovely. The details are lovely. The stone and all the ornamentation. I just think it's awfully fancy. Now, is it gaudy? Maybe a bit. I mean, this is a guy's house, right? This isn't a library or some kind of fancy government building that's often designated. Well, this is just some guy's house with, whoop, I keep jumping ahead of myself here. With his greenhouse here off to the side. Nothing special. Just a modest house. Even the greenhouse has got a mud flood window. I wonder if he's got shutters on that too, the smart ass. So there's your Bon Secours again. Man, I lifted too many of those. Yeah. So here we are. This is Bon Secours Market 1880s. So there's a sort of a obelisk here at the top of the hill. Bonsecourt Market itself is this big building here, and it has that dome on the top that looks like the U.S. Capitol building in Washington. But yeah, this is where your farmers, merchants, craftsmen would come to hawk their wares, buy, sell, trade. And that's where my great-granddaddy used to bring the maple syrup. This is 1880. This is that flood that happened. When was that? 1880. What was it? 1886 or whatever that was? I can't remember. 1887, I want to say. There's your Bonsecourt in the background. But just what a bloody mess, right? And then now the thing is that this is the old city. This is the old world part of Montreal. So this is a cobblestone road here. This whole thing is cobblestone. So I'm not sure why it cuts off right here, although it is starting to spill over. It's all maybe it's cobblestone sidewalk and then cobblestone roads, because all of these roads were paved in cobblestone. They weren't dirt. Once you got into Lachine and some of the further away from what became known as the old port, then yeah, you have the dirt roads and stuff. But all these roads are all cobblestone. So yeah, look at this. Look at this. What the hell is this, by the way? I have no idea what that is. Beautiful, beautiful building. Lots of fancy detail on this. Looks like a dome on the top of it as well. And you got a bunch of low windows all along here, and then you got to go up a bunch of stairs to go up to the main floor. I have no idea what this darn thing is. Get in too close and you can't quite. It starts to lose its sharpness. But oh yeah, of course, that's right. It's melted brick. Oh, the shutters are tacky for sure, for sure. That's why I was saying that guy's a jackass for putting those on his mud flood windows. Yeah, founded. That's right. Founded. This is a lovely building, though. But one always wonders, right? Like, okay, look, you got this clown standing right here, right? This guy's standing right here, is standing there reading the paper, smoking his pipe, whatever. So look at this. Figure this guy's maybe what, 5'8", 5'10", right? Now is this knucklehead down here gonna notice all of this fancy, beautiful? No. And if he does, it's probably ain't even gonna appreciate it. I know one time I sure as hell didn't. So why? Why? I mean, it's beautiful. I'm glad they did, but why? Why? This is 1890 Montreal. This is I think this is the Bank of Montreal. Because you need a big fancy dome on top of your bank, which has big giant pillars. Yeah. And of course, you're always going to want to put 6 pillars too, right? Now, this is the Bank of Montreal building. What was that other building? Post office, library, doesn't matter. It's gorgeous, and it was something else at a long ago time. This is the Bank of Montreal building. Look at this thing. I mean, it's the post office. It's the Bank of Montreal, and that's the post office. Look at that. Look at all this in the background. Look at this. Looks like a kid's fairy tale book. Look how puny these people are down here. So Craig Street, 1890s Montreal. There's something weird going on here. Obviously, somebody's bent over looking into something. But what this? It just looks like a big hunk of stone, or it's not a sculpture because it's ugly as hell. So I don't know what this is. This looks like it's been manipulated or it's weird. But either way, I just love the shot of the trolley, the electric streetcar trolley, with the horse and buggies. This guy's just going to walk right in front of that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. I'm walking right in front of you. And then just all these beautiful, massive buildings just shooting up into the sky, perfectly straight as an arrow. And then we got to get these crooked ass telephone poles and power. Look at this thing. Power lines. Ridiculous. $18.94. I'm not sure what street this is, but it's old Montreal. Yeah, exactly. The power lines were new after the mud flood. Well, that's what I'm saying. By the narrative is that supposedly these folks here built all of this. That's what we're told, right? Yeah, they built these, no problem. No problem. They just used lots of these horses and buggies and some pulleys and some rope and a pulley system, maybe the Roman human hamster wheel crane, maybe, and the railroad to deliver all the goods. And we slap that up in a couple of years, and Bob's your uncle. So, but then they tell us the same people that built these beautifully symmetrical, beautifully ornamented buildings built these crooked ass. And it's like, no, the same people that built this would not tolerate this. This hurts your eyes. This messes with your brain. Your brain looks at this and goes, ah, beautiful. Your brain looks at this and goes, right? So that's what I mean. I mean, I know that these are from a later time, but that's the narrative they try to feed us. We can build this, which is gorgeous, and then we just slap up this piece of shit. Oh yeah, I love this shot. So here we go, Boston Core Market. Again, there's that. I mistakenly called it an obelisk. It's a pillar with statue on it. Some important dude. It's some symbology on there. But yeah, there you go. You've got everything here. You get your straw, or your hay, I should say, and some alfalfa. You get your grains and your produce and everything. Seafood, everything is set up. These are all farmers, ranchers, merchants. They just bring their wagons in, they back them up in here, and they set up, and everybody just comes in, buy, sell, and trade. Look at this. Fantastic. Yeah, somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was, who was it? Somebody earlier in the chat. I think it was Laura Lee saying, like, you know, we have these beautiful buildings and then we just have these crappy signs. Yeah, it's always kind of made me laugh. Another shot of Bon Secours, and oh, look, it's winter and it's Canada because there's snow. But that didn't stop them. They just bring their sleds in the market instead. You know, that's pretty cool. And it looks cold. This is the 1880s. All of these shots are going to be 1880s, 1890s. So yeah, this is when my granddad was a kid. He would have accompanied my great granddad as they brought maple syrup over to Bon Secours Market. Looks kind of chaotic and hectic, doesn't it? We have these beautiful old world buildings, this big built up metropolitan world class city here, and then you got all these bumpkins hawking their wares in the middle of the road. You know, there's McGill College, well, McGill University now, formerly McGill College, 1859. I think we saw a similar photo of that too. So yeah, what you want to do is you want to build your building here and then have all these low windows and then have all these stairs going up because you want a nice slippery jagged surface made out of hard stone so that in the winter when it gets covered in ice and snow, it makes it really convenient to go up and to go to school. This way you could slip and fall and crack your head before you get any fancy book learning done. Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly. Had they built the buildings, there's no way in hell that people would have allowed those ugly poles. Yeah, and the hard worked for paradise, exactly. Yeah, it's like we worked our asses off to put these aesthetically gorgeous buildings that have form and function. And you come along and put a bunch of crooked ass crappy poles in here. Get that the hell out of here. Go kick rocks with that, right? Yeah, yeah. It looks like they just got the top. And you know what? Those are ranchers and farmers. So yeah, they would have come from out of town. They would have come from the South Shore, and they would have come from the outskirts. It would have been probably a couple hours, horse and wagon, to come into town to trade your goods. So this is McGill Street, not McGill University, not to be confused. McGill Street, 1901, and this is firemen assessing the situation after they put out a fire. So yeah, it says here, after a fire, Montreal, down here. That's what sucks about putting out a fire in the winter in Canada, is that after all the damage from the fire and then the smoke damage and the water damage, but then water, as we know, expands when it gets cold. So I don't know what building this is, but chances are after this, unfortunately, it's probably no longer standing, right? Look at this poor bugger, by the way. Just knee deep in the ice, snow, and slush. That's dedication. We saw one like this before, Notre Dame Street, 1887. There you go. Just shoveling, kid. Come on, you got to earn your keep there, young lad. Don't you want your daddy's fixing to give you 1 penny if you shovel all that snow. There's the Molson Brewery again. There's I lifted some duplicates. My apologies. Bank of Montreal and Post Office. We can blow it up nice so we can see the cobblestone roads. Oh, sorry, popcorn brick. Exploded brick, whatever, balloon brick. All right. There's Bon Secours Dome. With the little, well, I don't know what these are called on top, this little pirouette thing on top. Now, you're trying to tell me that that's a flagpole, right? That's what they're going to say. That's a flagpole, dummy. Well, they all have so-called flagpoles. Ain't none got a flag on them, first of all. And how's a guy going to get a flag up there? The people are tiny. Look at this fella. How's this tiny guy? First of all, he's got to go up 1,000,000 stairs to get in the main door of this place. Then he's got to go up 5 floors. Then he's got to get onto the roof. Then he's got to get onto this palisade around this dome or whatever it's called. Then he got to get up inside here and climb up into here. Then he somehow got to get out here and get up on top of this so you can grab that little string or rope and tie the flag. Come on, man. Come on, man. We all know damn well they just stick a flagpole out of the front of the building at a 45-degree angle about 20 feet up, and they hang a flag off of it. They can reach it from a window or those ladders we see leaning all over everything all the time. There's no way that that is a flagpole. Oh, look, Canada, ice and snow. Let's move on. Oh, Canada, ice and snow. I do get a kick out of these sleds, though, man. I'm not going to lie. This place is pretty fancy. See that? Here you go. This is why you don't build like this, most especially in the northern hemisphere where we get snow. This snow is just getting all in there. These windows are shooting right down, and then the snow is just infiltrating in there. That's why you just don't do that. Now, if this was 5 feet lower and that was a full window, like these full windows, yeah, okay, sure. That's that crappy dirt road in Lachine again, I think. The Notre Dame Cathedral in the background. Basilica. This one slipped in, but it's not a picture, like a photo. It's an etching or a sketch. The St. James Club, we looked at a bit of this on that website. Now we can blow it up a little. Look at this thing. Super fancy. I don't know who these St. James people are, but they have a nice clubhouse. My clubhouse was up in a tree, and it was made out of old pallets and plywood that I found at a construction site. That was my clubhouse. I used to keep my Spider-Man comics up in there. But anyway, this is Stephen's house in Dorchester Street in Montreal. And these are some of those houses that are in that Golden Square Mile. Look at this. Just some guy's house. Looks like it belongs in Savannah, Georgia, or in somewhere in Europe, you know, like in Vienna or something. Or in England, in London, Londinium, old London town. This is that suspicious tunneling job. Look at this. Beautiful. Okay, I think we reached the end. Yeah, we've reached the end. This is that wacky firefighters again. Coming out of their fancy fire department here with the portals and such. Volunteer firefighters got to stay in a big fancy castle-like structure. So yeah, there you go. Some photos I picked from online. Sorry, some of those were duplicates from that website, but you know, sometimes it's nice to zoom in on these things and get a better look. Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying. Post offices are awfully big and elaborate, Laura Lee says, for such small populations. Like how much mail were they sorting and sending in the late 1800s? Yeah, exactly. Because by their own narrative, a lot of people couldn't read or write. So let's be generous and say 75% of the adult population could read and write. Well, and I guess they have to have somebody who can also read and write that they're sending that letter to. Because if I can read and write and you can't, and I send you a letter, it ain't doing nobody no good now, is it? Right? So if, you know, if Montreal had 1 million people in 1900, so you have what, 750,000 people that are literate and the other 250,000 are illiterate. Okay, you need a big post office, sure, but why so ornate and fancy with the pillars and all the carvings and engravings and you know what I mean? But then when you see some of these smaller cities of 5,000 people, 3,000 people, 2,000 people, you know, in the 1890s, 1880s, but you see that same massive structure, and you're like, get out of here. Get on down the road with that horse shit. It's not like today where everything's coming Amazon and you got couriers and U.S. Postal Service and Canada Post and, you know, all over the world. And you see delivery trucks and couriers all over the place. I must see 100 a day, just going to work and coming back. UPS and FedEx and you name it, right? So today, yeah, we're sending all kinds of garbage all over the place. But back then, what were you sending? You might send, you know, your parents a parcel at Christmas. They might send you one at Christmas. You might send your parents a letter once a month. During the holidays, you might send greeting cards. But again, let's take into account that the people that you're sending them to can read and write also, right? So it's baffling to me. It's baffling to me. Yeah, that's right. They were sending mail to 3 people that couldn't read. Oh, man. And it's the same for schools, right? Like I filmed schools here all the time in Calgary when the population of Calgary was 1,000 people, and the school is this big, massive 3-story sandstone and brick structure that that is big enough for 1,000 people. You know, you're thinking, well, 1,000 people. Some of them are going to be kids, but not going to be that many kids that you need that big of a school. And there were schools all over Calgary. Like by 1900, there was dozens and dozens of these massive schools, and I've videoed tons of them. And you look at the narrative and you say, okay, there was 3,000 people in Calgary when the school was built, but look at the size of the school. And there's 3 others within a 10-minute walk. They're the same size, all built around the same time period. It's like, I don't think, these weren't post offices at one time. These were not schools at one time, right? Obviously, they served some other purpose. Because there's no way that any logically minded living creature would shovel limited resources into the ornate beauty that's plastered all over these buildings if they were just these utilitarian, just pick up some stamps and pick up parcels from the mail here. Or, I just go to the library to take out a book here, even though half of us can't read. There's massive libraries all over the place. Carnegie putting libraries in all these butt-fuck towns in the middle of nowhere. Thanks, Mr. Carnegie, but half of us can't read. Well, that's why I'm giving you a library. But that doesn't make sense. You're giving us a library, but we can't read. How about we learn to read, then you give us a library? But you know what I mean? It's just crazy, right? So where are we at here? We're past 11:30 p.m. here, my time here in Calgary, Alberta. So I think this goofiness has run its course here for tonight. So once again, I want to thank all of you very much for shooting in and joining me here for this live stream. I know it wasn't huge notice ahead of time, but as I mentioned, I try to do at least one of these a month. So keep an eye out here on the channel, and do all the things to make you get notified or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. And they're usually mid-month, though. I try to do, like I said, one of these a month, but they're always right around the middle of the month if I can, give or take. Do them on a Wednesday, but it seems that the weekend is better for most people, and the evening seems to be the best. At least the evenings for like over here in North America, right? Like Atlantic time or Pacific time, Mountain time, It looks like Biggs kind of was doing the Wednesday night thing, which is great. I was over there a couple nights ago on his stream, and we had a great time over there, and he was showing some great stuff. So I think going forward, sort of the closest weekend to the middle of the month is what I'll be doing for these things. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for shooting in and joining me. And after the fact, when this thing goes up, let me know what you think in the comments as well. Thank you to everybody in the chat for coming in and joining me here. Still got 11, 12 people watching right now, which is great for little old me. So thank you very, very much. It's fantastic. I really, really appreciate all that support. It's very humbling for just a knucklehead Canadian like me out here in the middle of nowhere in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada, eh? I've been seeing a lot of new faces, a lot of new names and avatars, a lot of new people coming by and visiting and shooting in and showing their support and commenting. So fantastical. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for jumping aboard and joining me in my Canadian mud flood roulette shenanigans and chicanery and hornswoggling and hooskowing and all kinds of goofing around. I have a lot of fun doing this thing, and it's great to do these live streams once in a while because we can interact in real time. So that's always a kick. I always appreciate that. That's always cool. Thanks to Streets of Tartaria, Caleb, for keeping an eye on things for us here in the chat, and Ozbeast as well, who's kind of popping in and out. Thank you for keeping an eye as well. Appreciate it as always. Great chatting with all of you. Thank you very much once again for shooting in. And I think that's going to seal the deal here today for Frankie at New West Reset. So take care out there, and until the next one, have a good one.